Welcome to another robotics video. This one is for programming challenge 6, adding a line follower, a code for a line follower and a claw motor. So let me walk you through getting the file. Once again, I'm assuming that you've already closed out the file. Actually, you'll need to close out the file. For this one, we're using a separate file altogether. I'll show you. So what you need to do is go to your desktop, go to this PC icon. Find your home drive with your 320 number, double click on that, go to your My Robotics folder, double click on that, go to the student files, double click on that, and then go to programming challenges, click on that. Now, unlike the previous 4 challenges that we completed, this challenge has its very own file. We don't need to do that whole thing where we open up the previous file and then resave it, giving it a new name. The reason why is we're starting over with the code. So all we need to do is find challenge 6 that says line follower and claw motor, double click on it to open it up. Get rid of the splash screen. Once again, we always have to go to robot, then go to platform type, make sure it's on 2.0 Cortex, and make sure it is on natural language PLTW. All right, now, the instructions indicate that you need to get a claw motor and a motor controller wire from the parts bins. So make sure you've done that. And you also need to plug them in. Now, you may be wondering where exactly you need to plug that in. Up until now, I've done most of the motor and sensor input setup for you, and I've done it here as well. But you need to know which port to put the wire in. So I'm going to take you to a place where you can find that information out. If you come up to motor and sensor setup, click on that button right there. And here is where you have all of the motor and sensor input setups. We've got motors, we've got analog like line followers and potentiometers, and we've got digital for bump switches and limit switches and LED lights. But we want to focus on motor for right now. Now, in port 1, and in port 10, we have the 2 motors of our test bed that have been there all along. The new motor that we're putting in is the claw motor, and we're putting that into port 2. Now, port 2 is a 3-pin port. That's why we need the motor controller, so we convert the 2-pin wire coming off of the motor into a 3-pin wire. So that goes into port 2. On your Cortex in the motor area, okay? With the black wire facing out towards the numbers as mentioned in the previous video. Okay, so click OK. All right, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to bring in a command called until dark that works with the line follower or the light sensor. I think those two are somewhat synonymous, interchangeable, those 2 names for that particular sensor, at least to my knowledge at this point. All right, so until dark, I'm going to drag that up, and we're going to keep this threshold the same, 1500, but for the port, we're going to click on the arrow, and we're going to click on line follower. So until dark, 1500, line follower. Next, we're going to come and we're going to find a start motor command, and we're going to tell it that we're looking for the claw motor, which we have plugged into port 5 on the Cortex. And then we're going to tell it to start at 127. Now, in case I failed to mention this previously, when we plug in the claw motor, we're going to need to use something that will enable us to change it from a 2-port pin setup to a 3-port pin setup, and for that we use a motor controller. It's basically something that allows it to, as I said, work with 3 pins, because port 1 and 10 in the motor section of the Cortex are 2-port, and we've got those taken up by the left motor and the right motor, so we need to find one of the other ports, and those are 3 ports, so we need to use the motor controller. All right, so next we need to add a wait command. And 1 second will do. And then we're going to add an until light command. and the until light command will remain at 1500 for the threshold, and then that will be line follower as well. Okay. Next, we are going to bring up another start motor command. And this is going to be claw motor as well. And this time we're going to do negative 127 because we want the motor to go in the opposite direction. It's going to close the claw. So this one opens it, this one closes it. All right, we need another wait command. Keep that at 1 second. And then we'll have a stop motor command. And that will be set at the claw motor. So that's the code that we need right there. So let's save, compile, download a robot. We got our program debug with the start button, and notice right down here we got our sensors. We're gonna want to take a look at this. Okay. All right. So, and if this isn't showing already, if your sensors aren't showing, once you have hit download a robot and you see the program debug little window, if you don't see this, here's what you do to bring it up. You go to robot, debugger window, and then make sure that the sensors or motors, whichever one you want, is checked. Now remember, this debugger window option will not be available until you have clicked download to robot. It'll be grayed out. Okay. All right. So let's go through what this code is going to do. When we click start, we're going to want to put our finger, but before we click start, we're going to want to put a finger over the line follower, okay, to cover up the sensor. And the reason why is this until dark, what it's going to do is, as long as this code is, well, as soon as this code is greater than, as soon as the, let me put it this way, as soon as the reading on the line follower reads greater than 1500, it's going to start the motor. Okay, the claw motor. In other words, it'll open it up. And then until light, as soon as the reading on the line follower is less than 1500, it will close the motor. Okay, so I'm going to put my thumb on the line follower. I'm going to click start, and nothing happens because, as you can see down here, the code is currently less than the threshold, which is 1500. It's varying somewhere around, I don't know, 1040 something. So watch what happens when I release it. You're going to see that that number is going to shoot up, and then you can't see this, but the claw will be opening. So, all right. So I just released the line follower. The number shot up to 3000 and the claw opened. Now I'm going to cover up the sensor again. And what's going to happen is until light will kick in, and that'll bring when, basically what that means is when the reading is below 1500, that'll execute the code below that. That is, it'll start the claw motor in reverse. And that's exactly what happened.